Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Podcasts everywhere, Facebook Live, YouTube, and www.talklawradio.com. Today we're talking about ghost guns and stabilizing braces for pistols with Adam Turcotte, who's a gunsmith extraordinaire. We'll find out more about his background in just a moment. But you've probably been hearing in the news a lot of court cases and even the Supreme Court weighing in a time or two on the ATF changes to the rules and regulations defining what a receiver is and also redefining what a stabilizing brace does to a pistol. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome back. I think it's been 2 years since you've been on the show. Well, we were talking about some court cases back then also. In the meantime, the Second Amendment keeps coming into the news. People want to make sure that they have the right to keep and bear arms. So I wanted to reintroduce you to the audience, just in case somebody's listening today that wasn't listening then. Tell us a little bit about your education and background.
Well, I'm from San Antonio. I've been gunsmithing now, been dealing with guns for over a decade. Went to Colorado School of Trades and kind of got a little bit more formalized education in gunsmithing. I'm the owner-operator of 10X Arms here in town. And it's a very busy enterprise. How's that?
I bet.
There's a lot of that going on in this area, high demand. I got into it, out of the military. I had plenty of combat experience tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and gunsmithing was just one of those things that kind of enabled me to work with people and take some of the military experience of how to set up your firearms, what works, what doesn't.
Was that one of your jobs in the military?
It wasn't. I was more in reconnaissance in the military, and it was just by chance. A buddy of mine in the area here, there was a gun shop that was opening locally, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come work with this guy, help him get his shop up and running?" And I did that, met some wonderful people while doing that, and then after going to Colorado, getting some gunsmithing experience under my belt, came back here, started my business, and it has been just off the walls busy since I got back.
And so when we were talking before we started the show, you emphasized that there was a difference in gunsmithing. Some are putting together guns, and you do something unique and different.
Well, the reason I went to a formalized school is I wanted a little bit more experience from, the old guys that have been doing it. You can go the direction of, say, work as an apprentice under somebody, but you're only open to getting what experience they have under their belt. Mm-hmm. Whereas I wanted to go the more formal route because I wanted to get the experience from 10 different instructors, and use that as a foundation and educate myself daily on proper techniques, old school techniques as well as new. YouTube kind of opened up the ball for a lot of people to put some ARs together and use a big wrench and call it good. And it's a lot more to that, especially when you start dealing with things from late 1800s, early 1900s, and a lot of those classic firearms that you have in a lot of these third and fourth generation families here in San Antonio.
You like to work on those?
Oh, I love the old school ones. It is amazing to see some of the design work, from John Moses Browning back in the day that to this day holds up really, really well. And so when you compare that to some of the more modern things, it's pretty impressive. And it feels good to take something that is worn down and old and refresh it, give it some new life, whether it's new bluing and just basic repairs to keep it going for the next generation.
And so describe some of the projects that you've worked on where you took an old gun? What are some of the specific things that you did to make it look new again?
It could be something as simple as just, take off some of the old rust and refresh it. It can be work it all the way down to bare metal and try to restore it in the way that they used to back in the day, whether it's from charcoal bluing, rust bluing, hot salt bluing. I like the older finishes like that because it holds up really well if done properly, and it retains that classic look to it.
Yeah, like it did before.
Yes. I'll do some wood refinish work, but that's really one of those, like, the amount of projects I have on my belt and my bench is just, I don't get to do too much woodwork anymore. It's a lot of machining, especially with this area. There's, with hunting as being as prevalent as it is in Texas, there's a lot of like silencers. So there's barrels that need threaded. Do a lot of machine work, a lot of repair work on shotguns, especially with dove season around the corner. There's we've got a lot of shotgun work right now. So.
Yeah, I thought that might be coming.
Oh yeah.
What kinds of repairs need to be made to a shotgun?
It can be anything from, fixing a sight or having a recoil pad fit properly. That is a big thing in making sure something is fit to you and helping you be as accurate as possible, is making sure that recoil pad and that stock is fit to you. That's a big one right now. Shotgun sights, whether it's a vent rib that's loose and that needs to be soldered on and then reblued. Right now it's a lot of, hey, they didn't, after dove season last year, they put away the shotgun and pull it out now, and it's got some rust on it, or it needs to just be touched up, ready to go for this season. Have a lot of that right now.
Yeah. Okay. And talk about some of the mistakes that people make that you have to fix.
Oh, it depends on what arena you go. There, AR-15s, back to that YouTube, there's a lot of YouTube gunsmiths out there that, they saw somebody slap it together like this. It looks good, and it's kind of like Legos, but it's not. There's a right way of doing things. There's, the mil spec standard is a basic standard, so you get a lot of AR-15s that come in and there's something of, hey, this wasn't put together right, or this wasn't gauged properly, and you have to take it apart and do it correctly. ARs is a big one. Pistols, you do see some of that, especially in the 1911 world. It's
because the 1911 can be modified.
It can be modified, but very few things on the 1911 are drop-in. It is truly fitting things to make sure that it's as safe as can be and feels as good as can be. A good trigger, sharp trigger, that has to be hand fit. With somebody that knows what they're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining all of your background. That's a lot, and you're a very busy person. So, what are some things that you're looking for right now that somebody won't have to wait in line a long time for? Maybe a suppressor.
The ATF makes sure that we wait for a while on that one while the paperwork goes through.
But it's probably not a lot of work for you to fit it.
What I do is, so I will sell them, and the nice thing about that process while we're waiting on it, while we're waiting on the paperwork from me to you for a suppressor. In the meantime, bring me your rifles, bring me pistols, whatever it is, and let's go ahead and get those threaded, tuned up, whatever we need to do. So that way, once the ATF finally signs off on it, you're not having to wait on a gunsmith to catch up. I've already got you taken care of.
Okay, that sounds like a good process.
It works.
All right, well, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the ATF's rule changes. But for now, we got to take a break, so stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.